The moment the little disabled girl hit the pavement, the world around her seemed to freeze. People stared, no one stepped forward, and somewhere in the fog, a low thunder began to resound that would change everything. What the bullies didn't know was that someone had been watching, someone they should have never messed with. To understand how the quiet morning turned into a moment the whole town would remember, we must go back on a pale autumn morning, when the sky hung low like a sheet of silver glass. The small town bus stop stood wrapped in a thin veil of fog. Dew clung to the metal benches, and the crisp air carried the faint smell of wet leaves and distant chimney smoke. Cars whispered by on the quiet road, their headlights cutting soft tunnels through the mist. A lonely wheelchair sat at the edge of the sidewalk, its worn rubber wheels damp from the morning frost, and in that chair, with a backpack resting gently against her lap, waited a young disabled girl, small, fragile, and trying her best to stay invisible in a world that rarely noticed her. Her name was Lily, a 12-year-old girl with soft brown eyes that always seemed to be searching for kindness in places where kindness rarely lived. A pale pink scarf wrapped loosely around her neck fluttered in the cool breeze, and her small gloved hands rested on the wheels of her chair, hands that trembled more from nerves than from the cold. She came to this bus stop every morning, hoping nothing would go wrong, hoping today I'd be quiet. But life had not been quiet for Lily in a long time. Students passing by barely glanced at her, their footsteps quickening as if getting too close to her sadness might stain them. A few whispered, others stared, and some simply looked through her as if she wasn't there at all. Her backpack, patched into places, held schoolbooks she treated like treasures because school was the one place she dreamed she might someday belong. Still, as she waited, she sat a little smaller, shoulders hunched, eyes lowered. Experience had taught her that any attention at the bus stop was rarely good attention. The trouble began the way it always did, quietly, like a storm forming behind her. Lily heard the footsteps before she saw them, fast, careless, echoing against the pavement. 3 boys from her school approached, their laughter sharp enough to slice through the morning fog. They were the kind of laughter that made her heart sink, not joyful, but amused at someone else's pain. One of them, a tall boy with a red hoodie, circled behind her chair like a predator studying an easy target. Another pretended to trip over her front wheel. The third lifted his phone, already recording. Lily's breath caught. She tried to straighten in her chair, to make herself smaller, to disappear. But it was too late. Move it, wheels. One boy sneered, giving her chair a shove. The sudden jolt sent her backpack slipping to the ground. Lily reached for it, but her fingers shook too much before she could grasp it. The second boy pressed a foot onto the strap, dragging it across the concrete like it was trash. The laughter grew louder, harsher, crueler. Then came the push, the one she always feared. A hard swipe against her wheelchair handle, enough to tip her sideways. The world tilted, the pavement rushed up. She hit the cold ground with a soft gasp as her chair clattered beside her. People watched, no one moved. Her palms stung, her eyes blurred. Her voice barely rose above a whisper. Please stop. If this story touches your heart, please like, comment, and share. Lily lay trembling on the cold pavement when a new sound drifted through the fog, so faint at first it blended with the hum of morning tea. Raffic, a low, distant rumble, steady, growing, like thunder rolling beneath the earth. The boys didn't notice. They were too busy laughing, nudging her fallen wheelchair with their feet. The phone still pointed at her like a weapon. But the rumble grew louder, deeper, closer. Lily lifted her head, heart thudding. She recognized that sound. Motorcycles. Not one, not 2, dozens. A flicker of hope warmed her chest, so small she barely dared to feel it. The bullies finally turned. Confusion washed over their faces as the fog behind them parted, revealing a long line of motorcycles emerging like shadows from a storm. Chrome glinted under the soft morning light. Black jackets, heavy boots, the patches on their vests catching every beam of sun. 99 bikers. Each engine growl vibrated through the ground and into the boys' bones. Their smirks faded, their posture stiffened. Silence, heavy and sudden, fell over the bus stop. At the front of the line rode a man with steel gray hair braided down his back. His gaze swept the scene in one slow, piercing pass, taking in Lily on the ground, her broken chair. The boys frozen in guilt, and in that moment, something inside him shifted. He parked his bike, and he decided to step in. What would you do in this situation? Comment below. Boots hit the pavement slow, heavy, deliberate. The kind of footsteps that made the bullies instinctively step back. The lead biker's shadow stretched across the concrete, long and unbroken, stopping right between Lily and the boss. He didn't shout. He didn't curse. He simply looked at them one by one with a calm so controlled it was far more terrifying than anger. Shame rose in their faces like heat. Behind him, the other bikers formed a wide circle around the scene, not trapping anyone, but making it clear the cruelty ended here. The bull holding the phone swallowed hard and lowered it. Another kicked at the ground, mumbling something that wasn't quite an apology. While they stumbled away, the lead biker knelt beside Lily, his rough leather glove soft as he righted her chair. "Easy there, sweetheart," he said gently, his voice a deep rumble. "You're safe now." Her breath trembled as he lifted her carefully back into the seat. Tears filled her eyes, not from pain, but relief. Real, overwhelming relief. One biker retrieved her backpack. Another wiped the dirt from her wheels. A third stood watch, arms crossed, making sure the bows didn't dare look back. And for the first time in a long time, Lily felt protected. In a world where cruelty often hides in plain sight, moments like this remind us that goodness still walks among us, sometimes on heavy boots and roaring engines. Lily went to school that morning with her head a little higher, her heart a little stronger, knowing she wasn't as alone as she once thought. And the people who witnessed it left with a story they would never forget, one about courage, compassion, and the responsibility you share to protect those who cannot stand for themselves. Because sometimes, kindness arrives exactly when the world needs it most. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like, comment, and share it with someone who believes in kindness. What would you have done if you were there that morning? Tell us in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to Acts of Kindness for more stories that restore faith in humanity.